Hello and welcome to something that I would never usually do, but it's coming towards the end of the month and I still haven't recorded anything. So I'm going to be continuing to ride on that wave of interrailing that I did a few months ago and do a tier list, everyone's favourite thing ever. I'm going to be going through these 21 locations. This is just my opinion about these places, but maybe this will help you if you are interested in any of them. What I think of them, maybe it will inform your opinion on whether or not you should go to them. Let's go. Brussels. I think it set a good sort of middle ground, so I'm going to pop it in C tier for now. The old town, lovely. There's like quite a lot to do, quite a lot to see. I really enjoyed looking at like the murals, great chips. Outside of the old town, not much going on. It's much, it felt a lot closer to home in terms of the outskirts. As soon as you leave the old town, which is sort of in the centre, it feels like you're in London. The highlights were really seeing like the Tintin stuff, checking out all of like the little, like the cute little pubs and stuff, like the what's it called, delirium beer stuff. That was cool. Like that's like that cultural stuff that's really enjoyable. But overall, not a whole lot going on. So yeah, I'll leave it on the C tier for now. We'll see if that changes later on. It could go up, could go down. We'll see. Heidelberg is probably going straight up in the S tier. It is quite a small little town in southwest Germany. It's cute, the people are lovely, but the vibe of the place was so good. Despite the weather being pretty shit, the vibe was still so nice. It's a small town on a river with mountains all around you, and they're not massive mountains, but they're green and you can hike up them. I did a hike one day going up to these ruins that were on top of one of the mountains. For somewhere so small, there was so much history involved. It was like clearly a very old town with a lot of having gone on there. There were a couple of like little museums. The food was great. I stayed in a really lovely little old hotel. Everything about it was so nice, and it was definitely the sort of place that I would recommend going to people who, especially if you're a fan of nature. The castle as well, so cool. Berlin for me is again another S tier. Berlin is for me probably the perfect sort of city holiday because there's so much there. Obviously, there's so much history, because of course there is. And this is speaking as somebody who really enjoys their history. So much to go and look at and see and find out, like all the museums and the experiences. It was just, unlike somewhere like London, I'd say Berlin, for me, felt much more welcoming. It felt like vibrant and fun, and it just had a completely different sort of... I'm going to use the word vibe a lot in this video, but it had a very different vibe to London, so it's very much like a worthwhile place to visit. Going to the Reichstag building and stuff and seeing the Berlin Wall was like, it was incredible because it's stuff that I've been learning about since I was a kid. Like it's a major part of European history. So being able to be there and see it in person was just really special. In fact, hang on, have I still got it? I don't know, this might not be real, it might not be authentic, but I did go to what has been claimed to be one of like the few places that does have authentic pieces of the Berlin Wall. So I got this little, can you see that? So that is a piece of the Berlin Wall. Okay, next up we have Munich. Munich, for me, it was a nice place, not much going on. I'm gonna put it in D tier for now. After having already been, I've now heard that there is actually more to do than I thought there was. I was under the impression that there wasn't much going on in Munich, although a lot of people were hyping it up. I guess I just missed a lot of the things that are supposedly highlights. The main thing that I did when I was there was actually not being in Munich, was leaving Munich and going to Dachau, going to the concentration camp there, which was super fascinating, really worth going to, just because it was so crazy to be at. But Munich itself, personally, didn't get much out of it. It is also, however, the hometown of Hans im Gluck, which is a chain, as a burger restaurant chain that we found when we were out there, and oh my god. Alright, next up we have Vienna. I'm gonna say C tier for now, but upper C tier. Better than Brussels, but still not reaching that upper echelon. Just because it's really pretty. It's a very nice city to walk around and look at. There's a lot of museums, there's a lot of like history and stuff. It didn't have that edge. You know what, I'm being a little bit harsh. I'll put it in B tier. It's very worth going to, but it doesn't have that character that I really want out of a city. It probably also doesn't help that A, it was the worst place I stayed in the entire 2 month travelling, and B, got food poisoning at the very end of it, which sort of put a downer on the whole experience. But generally, very good. A lot to see, a lot to do. One thing though I would definitely recommend doing if you do want to go to Vienna is there is a it used to be a club, like a place for gigs underground outside the main square, and it's still sort of being used as that, but it's also a restaurant. And I happened to be there on the night where a band were playing, and all the oldies, all of the lot who were probably there when it was a club decades ago, were up there dancing, and it was such a joy to watch during the meal. Like, it was honestly one of the highlights of being in Vienna. Bratislava, similarly to Munich, I'm probably going to drop it in the D for now. There's not a lot to do, except in Bratislava I feel like I did do everything pretty much. So if I were to recommend somebody to go, it would be for a couple of days, like 3 days max, because you could probably do everything in one day. But for me, yeah, it's a nice place. It's very cheap, which is always a plus. But yeah, not a whole lot going on. Budapest, straight into the S tier. Everything is dirt cheap, which is lovely. It has so much character. There's so much to do. There's the ruin bars. There's like the Fisherman's Bastion up on the hill. There's some great views. The church was so nice. I think I was there for 4 or 5 days, and I still feel like there was more to do. Like, there were things that I wanted to do that I didn't get to do in that amount of time. So genuinely one of the best places I went to. It's pretty much the full package when it comes to like a city getaway. I would 100% recommend it. And of course, you can't forget the baths, the thermal baths. That's it, the thermal baths. So cool. Basically, Budapest, highly recommend. Ljubljana. Now, Ljubljana is an interesting one because, in very similarly to Bratislava, not a lot going on. I will probably put it in the upper D tier. It's a capital city. It's fucking tiny, but it's such a nice place. It's just a nice place to look at, stay at for a couple of days in the same way as Bratislava. But I'd say it's nicer than Bratislava is. It feels more almost cozy. And also the puppet museum in the castle, 100% worth going to. I bloody loved that. So Ljubljana is the capital of Slovenia, but this should be. Bled is probably gonna have to be up there on the S tier. Bled is so good. I would recommend it so highly. Surrounded by greenery, surrounded by mountains, and this massive lake, which is arguably one of the most beautiful lakes in the world. A lot of people have said that. So blue, it's like unbelievably blue. And yeah, hiking up the mountains, through the trees, so good. Bled cake, beautiful, great little cake. I would definitely recommend that. Yeah, I just cannot recommend it more. It's such a nice place. And from Bled, we're now going into Italy with Verona. Verona, I am probably going to pop up in C tier for now, around the same as Brussels. Verona is obviously very famous for being in the works of Shakespeare. It's the setting of Romeo and Juliet, hence why there's the famous Juliet balcony, even though that's a lie. It's got a handful of cool things to go and look at, but it's sort of middling in terms of like how long I'd really say to stay there for. You could probably do everything in about 2 or 3 days if you set your mind to it. Yeah, to be honest, I haven't got that much to say about it. So next we have Naples, which I am actually going to throw up. You know what? I'm throwing it up in the A tier. Possibly controversial, possibly not. Naples was one of the most interesting places that I went in the entire 2 months, because I cannot overstate the character of Naples. It's the most hectic, confusing, slightly disconcerting place I've ever been, but I loved it for it. Pompeii, obviously, insane being in there, and it's way bigger than I thought it was. For some reason I thought it was a lot smaller. Turns out you have to spend an entire day there, and also you're going to boil because the sun is beating down on you 24/7. But Naples itself, like, it's very run down, but it's enjoyable. Obviously this is speaking from my perspective. I'm sure a lot of people go there and they're a bit quite freaked out, because I understand there are some freaky bits to it. Like, there's sort of like noticeable like drug problems and stuff, and it's quite rough. But I genuinely really enjoyed my time there just because it was so different to anywhere else I'd been. It was so hectic, and like within the first 5 minutes of arriving there, nearly got run over 3 times. So that just shows the sort of place that it is. But honestly, I would really recommend it. I don't know if this sounds like your sort of thing, but honestly, super, super fun. And you wouldn't think it, but off of the coast of Naples is the complete opposite. It's Ischia. Now, Ischia I am also going to put in the A tier. I'm going to put it above Naples, though. In fact, you know what? I'm bumping it up. I don't care. I've got a lot in the S tier, but I'm bumping it up. Ischia was so, so nice. The beaches were lovely. The hotel where we stayed, so, so nice. The people who ran it there. The fact it was a family-run hotel on, like, up the hill. The best, like, host that we had the entire time. The best place to stay, definitely. And there was the castle there, which was like this ruins of a castle, but you can still go and there's loads to see. Oh, there's something about that Ischia island that was so, so good, and barely scratched the surface of it, because where we were staying was sort of like this one little like area of the island. It was sort of like the main port area. Turns out there's actually a lot more there, so you could probably easily spend a week there and still have stuff to do. I was only there for 3 days and I loved it. Rome is next. Rome is going probably, yeah, you know what, bosh, straight into the S tier. Rome, I think everyone at this point knows how good Rome is. I don't even know if there's anything I have to say to convince you that Rome is great. It's got basically everything you need. Great food, great location, great history, just great everything. It's Rome. What is there to say that has not already been said? So I'm just going to leave it in the S tier and you're going to trust me. Florence, I enjoyed. I'm probably going to put it in the B tier because it felt very like youthful. A lot of the people there were like students or things, like people traveling who were like quite young. It just seemed like quite a trendy sort of place, but in a good way, like not in an annoying way. The wine windows were fun, but obviously like that's a small little thing. So I'd say it's worth going to, but maybe do some other places in Italy if you're going to go there, because you could do a couple days, but you're going to do everything quite quickly. Still, maybe not enough to like just go to that one place by itself. Nice, which I am unfortunately going to have to be dropping into the E tier. You'll notice, by the way, I haven't put an F tier because I don't think any of these places are F tier status. F tier would be like shit. E is the lowest I'm allowing, and I think Nice might be the only place that I'm going to put down there, because for me it was just not that interesting. There was not a lot going on. It was basically just a beach. It just to me seemed like the sort of place that a lot of rich people go because it's close to like Monaco and stuff. It's just like a little seaside resort, but there isn't really much there going on at all. There was a science museum that was closed. There really wasn't much going on. There is a reason that I filmed that medium meals in Nice. Montpellier, on the other hand, I genuinely really enjoyed, so I'm actually going to putting in the high end of the C tier. Like the weather was really nice, it had some character to it. There wasn't a lot to do, but it was really enjoyable. I don't know, I feel like I'm one of the few people with this opinion, but I really did enjoy it. It's sort of hard to describe that one for me. Honestly, I struggle to sort of explain why I liked it so much, but something about the place really sort of, I don't know, it's got a place in my heart. First stop in Spain was Barcelona, which is, you know what, it's going up there in the S. I think Barcelona, most people agree, is, in the same way as Rome, one of the best cities in Europe to go and visit. There's so much to see, there's so much artwork, all the Gaudi stuff, there's La Sagrada Familia, obviously, and the Gaudi Park Wow. And there's a lot of, like, you can walk around and see so much stuff. And I feel like despite having been there for, I think, 4 days, I still feel like I didn't see everything. The beach was super nice. It was just genuinely, everything was sort of really, really nice to go and see. Madrid is an interesting one. It's the capital, but it really shouldn't be. Barcelona should be the capital because it feels more like a capital. I did enjoy Madrid though. I'm probably going to pop it in the B tier because I still did really enjoy my time there. Barcelona is sort of like the trendy cousin of Madrid, whereas like, because it's where all like the art sort of things are going on, whereas Madrid is more like the business side of things. But that's not to say that that's all that's going on in Madrid. There was still a lot of stuff to see. There were some really nice parks. It was nice to sort of just wander around. It had a museum with one of my all-time favourite paintings in, so that really like shot it up there for me, which I really enjoyed. Like that museum was really, really cool. I think it's worth going to. it just shouldn't be that high on anyone's list, because there's a lot of other better places from the tier list. But yeah, no, I'd still say it was a good place to go. San Sebastian. Okay, this is on the northern coast of Spain, and I am putting it right up there in the A tier, because San Sebastian was probably my favourite seaside place. San Sebastian, the beaches there, so cool how far out the tide went and then came back in again. A lot of interesting culture about it. There's like a whole other language there that they spoke, which I didn't know existed. It like only existed on a small pocket between Spain and France, but it's like a weird little thing that I had no idea existed. That was super cool. Where we were staying was like in this like overgrown like forest area, like this like park. The food, the tapas. Oh my god. I mean, this goes for all of Spain, but the tapas. Bordeaux was a surprising one for me. I really enjoyed my time in Bordeaux. The old town is where it's at. As soon as you're outside the old town, it's questionable. High B tier, probably around the same as Vienna. I'll put it just below, between Vienna and Verona. There was something about the character of Bordeaux in the old town that was really pleasant. And it's hard to, it's one of those ones that's hard to describe. Went to a very nice cat cafe, absolutely loved it there. But like, it's not one of those places where there's a lot to do. Something about it, in the same way as Montpellier, there's something about it was really nice. I don't know, it's really hard to describe, to be honest, but just to like stop through it, stay in the old town for a bit, really, really nice. Paris surprised me. I had always grown up thinking, or being told that Paris was a bit of a dump. However, I had the luxury of going when the Olympics were about to be held, so they had actually cleaned it up. So it's actually going to go up to the A tier for me. Yeah, it surprised me. I was expecting it to be a lot more sort of run down and not very pleasant. And yes, those areas obviously were around. In fact, stayed in an area a lot like that. But the amount of things to see, the amount of things to do, walking around, and the weather was really nice when I was there as well. Really good place to visit. Food was great. The views were great. There's such a variety of things to go and do and see. So it's sort of one of those ones where you just have to go. You know what? I'm happy with that. There's a variety here. I don't know if this will ever inform an opinion of yours on whether you're going to visit these places. Honestly, I would recommend going to all of them just to say you've been, just to experience it for yourself, because you might have a very different takeaway than I've had from that place. But yeah, if you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to leave them in the comments and I can answer them for you. If you have specific questions about the places or like things to do or why I thought things about some of them, go ahead. I'm happy to answer any and all questions about it. That's the end of that. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you found it somewhat interesting. I will see you all next month. All right. See you then.